Donald Trump believes that the war on terror will require new surveillance of America's Muslims. American Muslims. Now, during a Yahoo interview, Trump had said, look, man, when it comes to Muslims, we're going to have to do things that we never did before. And some people, I know they're going to be upset about it, but I think now that everybody is feeling that security is going to rule, certain things will be done that we never thought would happen in this country in terms of information and learning about the enemy. We're going to have to do things that, frankly, were unthinkable a year ago. The enemy. Well, what enemy? Oh, you mean Muslims? All Muslims. America. Americans. American Muslims. That's who the enemy is, according to Trump. If we're going to be spying on American mosques, then yeah, that's essentially saying that Muslims, if you're in America, you're the enemy. Great. Now, he said that he would not rule out warrantless searches in his plans for increased surveillance of the nation's Muslims. He also remained open towards, and get this is worse, registering U.S. Muslims in a database or giving them special identification identifying their faith. We've seen this movie before. We know how it ends, and it doesn't end well. He said, we're going to have to look at a lot of things very closely. We're going to have to look at the mosques. We're going to have to look very, very carefully. You know, it's actually more common for someone to get shot in America, not by a terrorist, but by a random person with a gun. A random ammosexual. And yet, Trump, he says, well, we got to watch the Muslims very carefully, but not anybody else. Let's not watch the sovereign citizens, for example. Let's not watch those guys. Let's not watch the KKK. Let's not watch neo-Nazi organizations. No. Let's watch the Muslims. We got to watch them very, very carefully. Oh, really? Now, Trump also had said that Ray Kelly's, he said that he would actually float the idea of putting Ray Kelly into a position in his cabinet if he gets elected. Well, Ray's a great guy, he said. Ray did a fab job as commissioner. I can't believe he just said that. And sure, Ray would be somebody I'd certainly consider. He also, what we know from Ray Kelly is that he had spearheaded the surveillance program of mosques in New York following 9/11. The Associated Press had reported in November 2011 that the NYPD built extensive databases detailing life in Islamic communities. You know what they learned? You know what they learned from monitoring grocery sales, social life, and worship among New York's Muslims? You know what they learned? Nothing. They learned that they were normal people. That's what they learned. They didn't find evidence of terror plots. They didn't arrest anybody. It was a waste of time. And it was also incredibly unconstitutional. No arrests. Nothing. Because it turns out that the very people that you were spying on were just normal people. All they were doing in the mosques was praying. That's it. That's no more dangerous than a Christian praying. Hey, how about we do this? Here's an idea. How about we use our intelligence to actually, spy at people over there in these other countries to find out their intelligence, or to find intelligence on them in order to best find out a way to fight them, instead of doing it over here to American citizens. And on the mosques, Trump also said, you're going to have to watch and study the mosque because a lot of talk is going on in the mosques. And he told that to Morning Joe on Monday. From what I heard in the old days, meaning a while ago, we had great surveillance going on around the mosques in New York City. And we'll have no choice. We'll have no choice to shut them down when some bad things happen. Oh, Jesus. This guy, he's the front runner for the GOP. He could be president. If he doesn't implode, he could be a president. Now, once again, this is the guy who said that religion was being attacked. Our religious liberty is under attack. And yet, he is attacking religious liberty. Now, I get it. I guess in Trump's world, it's okay to go after someone else's religion, just not your own. I mean, he's even attacked Ben Carson's religion, which is kooky, but he's got the right to believe it. And what Trump wants to do is to shut down mosques, therefore denying American Muslims their First Amendment rights. While earlier he bitched about Starbucks coffee cups and not saying Merry Christmas on them. He thinks that is a war on religion. Oh, it's a war on Christianity. How dare you not say Merry Christmas? You know what? If I become president, and he said this, I'm going to make sure everybody says Merry Christmas again. Look, anybody who knows me, anybody who's watched the show, listened to the show, knows I'm an atheist, right? I believe in the First Amendment, freedom of religion. I also believe in freedom from religion, and I think that's incredibly important. And I go after Christianity all the time when it threatens the freedoms of the people in America. Now, I'll also go after Islam if it does the same thing in America. So far, it has not been proven in America to be the same level of threat as Christian extremism in America. Once again, I have to say, in America. You want to talk about other places, you want to talk about the Middle East, then definitely there's a problem with radical Islam in the Middle East. And yes, sometimes it spills over here as well. I get that. But if you want to talk about Christian oppression, which happens, real Christian oppression, you can go over the Middle East and make some great examples. There are Coptic Christians that were killed in Egypt, Christians in Iraq and Syria that are fleeing from ISIS, the same people that the Muslims or refugees are also fleeing from. You want to go to those examples, that's legitimate oppression, and I get you, and I'm with you. I'm with you on that. But here's the thing. Where I'm not with you is when you call for things like treating modern Muslims the way that the Nazis had treated Jews back in the 1930s. Because that's what they did. They went after the synagogues. They made them wear special badges denoting their religion. And then we know the rest of the story. We know how the rest of the story went. And I know there's this situation that's a little bit different, right? Because there are groups like the Daesh. But my overall point is you can't take away the civil liberties of a small group of people in America because you're afraid of them. You can't do that. That's not good justification. It's not good enough. Those rights are guaranteed under the Constitution. And if you start ignoring the Constitution and destroying people's rights and freedoms, then you're going to let the terrorists win. Remember, they hate us for our freedoms, right? So it makes sense to preserve those freedoms. That's what the French are doing. That's what the French are doing. Remember, they're not letting themselves be afraid of the refugees. They're not letting themselves be afraid of the Muslims. Life goes on there. Maybe we should learn something from them instead of letting the terrorists win by making us afraid.